night air was heavy with the scent of sage and smoke. The rancher stood beside the corral, his fists clenched, his jaw set tight. He hadn't asked for her. The men at the saloon had thought it funny to gift him an Apache woman as a joke after too many drinks. They'd dragged her from the wagon, wrapped in a torn blanket, her eyes burning with humiliation but unbroken. The rancher had wanted to hit someone, maybe all of them, but by the time he found his words, the dust from their laughter was already fading down the road. She stood there now, barefoot in the cold dirt, her chin lifted in defiance. The rancher couldn't look her in the eye for long. He untied her wrists and stepped back, unsure what to say. "You can go," he muttered. "Ain't right what they did." But she didn't move. Her gaze swept the empty fields, the dark horizon, the endless miles of wilderness. She knew, and he knew too, there was nowhere to go. Not for a woman alone, not for one marked by the cruelty of men. He built a small fire outside the barn and set down a tin plate with beans and bread. She didn't speak, just ate quietly, her fingers shaking slightly. When the flames flickered low, she looked at him, her voice low but steady. "They gave me to you," she said. "Now we are alone. Let us do what is necessary." He froze, her words cutting through the silence like a blade. She wasn't begging or afraid. She was surviving, saying what she had to, not what she wanted. He swallowed hard, stepping closer but not touching her. "No," he said softly. "You don't owe me anything." "Not that." Her eyes widened slightly, confused. Men didn't say no, not to women in her position. He turned away, tossing another log on the fire, the crackling wood breaking the tension between them. "You can stay in the barn tonight," he added. "It's warmer than the dirt." That night she lay in the hay, staring up at the roof where the stars peeked through the cracks. The wind howled like distant voices, carrying memories she couldn't bear to remember. The rancher sat by the dying fire outside, unable to sleep. Every creak of the barn made him think of her. The woman dropped into his life like a test from God. Morning came gray and bitter. He found her tending his horses, quiet but capable, as if she'd always belonged there. She didn't ask permission and he didn't give any. Days turned into a rhythm of work and silence. She mended fences, carried water, gathered wood. When he offered her his coat during the cold evenings, she accepted without a word. Something unspoken began to grow between them. Not love, not yet, but a fragile understanding. Weeks passed before he heard her laugh. It was soft, uncertain when one of the foals stumbled over its own legs. The sound startled him more than gunfire. He looked up from the trough and found her smiling faintly, sunlight catching in her hair. For the first time, she didn't look like a woman owned or shamed. She looked free. One evening, as a storm rolled in, they worked together to save the herd from the rising wind. Rain soaked them both through, and when the last gate was bolted, they ducked into the barn, shivering and breathless. The thunder cracked above, close enough to shake the walls. She turned to him, her eyes searching his face. "You could have left me," she said quietly. "Why didn't you?" He hesitated, brushing water from his brow. "Because you didn't deserve what happened," he said simply. "You're not a joke, you're you." The words felt clumsy, but they were true. Her eyes softened, and for the first time, she touched his arm, a small, trembling gesture that meant more than any promise. When the storm finally passed, she built a small fire and sat beside him in silence. He offered her coffee. She offered him a story of her people, her husband long dead, her village burned. He listened, not out of pity but respect. When she finished, her voice broke only once, and he reached out, covering her hand with his. She didn't pull away. As spring returned, the ranch began to bloom again. Grass thick and green, the fences strong, the horses calm. So were they. The men from the saloon came riding by one day, laughing as they saw her working the fields. "Did she behave?" One jeered. The rancher's face darkened. "She's not yours to talk about," he said, his voice like steel. When they left, her eyes met his, and she saw the truth there, something even stronger than protection. That night, as the sun bled into gold across the horizon, she stood beside him by the corral. The same place she'd first been delivered in shame. The same dirt, the same silence, but now everything had changed. She turned to him and whispered, "We were both alone. Now we are not." He looked at her, and in that quiet moment, the rancher realized what the joke had become. The beginning of something neither cruel nor forced, but human. He nodded slowly, removing his hat, his heart heavy with emotion he couldn't name. "No," he said softly. "We're not." And as the evening wind swept across the plains, it carried away the laughter of those who mocked them, leaving behind two souls who had found something far rarer than love: peace.